All right, people, welcome back to the Slice. Is Daniil Medvedev on the decline? Is he losing it? Is he losing his edge? At the end of 2021, he was, in my opinion, the best hardcourt player in the world. He was number one in the world last year, and now he's going to drop outside of the top 10 with his loss to Sebastian Korda in round three. So we're going to talk about that on this episode of The Slice on our day 5 roundup. Welcome to it. We're also going to talk about Tsitsipas. He's looking great. He's looking confident. And he doesn't look like, to me, he's taking any of these matches for granted. He's taking every win. And he's building the right way. Same with Felix. So there's also a bunch of big upsets yesterday. We'll talk about that. And then we'll preview tonight's matches. Djokovic with a hamstring, taking on Dimitrov. A lot of other stuff going on. Welcome to the Slice. Thanks for being here. Medvedev sad he's still not here, but we're going to talk about it. Let's go. All right, how you doing? How's the sleep going for you guys? I am officially zoinked, as I think I said last time. I had 4 hours 2 nights ago, 6 hours last night, and I haven't even really been staying up that late, to be honest. I haven't stayed up for any of the night matches. I've just watched the extended highlights, broke it down through that. But yeah, tons going on. Go Sport, official bag sponsor of the Slice, link below. Subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate you guys being here. If you're new to the channel or if you just watch the channel but haven't subscribed, it helps us out. Really does to subscribe. So appreciate doing that. And drop your email below to join the Monday Bagel, which we'll get rolling again after the Australian Open. But yeah, let's start with Medvedev here. So our old friend Daniil, he's having a tough time. He, in general, is still, I would say, considered one of the best players in the world for sure. But one of the best players in the world is different than being where he was at the end of 2021, where he had beaten Djokovic to win the US Open. He had almost won the Australian Open that year before. He, won so many of the hardcourt tournaments where I think most people even considered him a better or more dangerous hardcourt player at the time than Djokovic was. So he went from that to now kind of losing fairly consistently in the matches that you would expect him to win back at that time. And he talked about that in his press conference, which I'll get to in a second. But anyways, Sebastian Korda played great. He played great tennis, and it was interesting to see. I've talked about the flatter balls. Everyone's talked about him. I went on TV the other day up here in Canada and explained it, which you can see on my Twitter. But basically, I think Sebastian Korda had such great success against him because he plays this aggressive game where Medvedev was talking about it. He takes the ball super early and hits big, but doesn't miss a ton like a lot of other players who would try and do that do. And I think with these flat balls, that was almost a necessity, right? Because if you're hitting the ball inside the baseline, then that ball being flat doesn't really make it as much of a difference. Like you're just going to be able to get through the court with the amount of power that a guy like Sebastian Korda has. So Medvedev then playing a couple of feet behind the baseline, just his balls weren't doing much damage. If you have a faster ball and Medvedev, he's not a huge hitter, but he is the strong counterpuncher and he uses those angles, the difference in speed there on those angles makes a huge difference on how much they'll hurt an opponent. So anyways, Korda played great, stepping inside the court, taking the ball early and just playing big boy tennis and like no small boy stuff here. He played great. The thing that's concerning for Medvedev, I think, is that he said he's, basically there was tons of matches that he's always been tight in. He's kind of known for like playing tight matches, but he always just had, like he contrasted it to last year's Australian Open when he beat Nick Kyrgios and then somebody else and then Felix. He beat Nick Kyrgios, Felix, and Stefanos. He said in all those matches, it was pretty close, really tight, but I had this feeling and confidence that I was going to find a way and I was going to win. And in these matches now, when they get closer, he's kind of just explaining that he doesn't have the same confidence he did. His confidence is shot a bit. So if you were wondering, that's still such a huge thing for players at all levels of tennis, confidence. I remember in Djokovic in 2017-18 when didn't have any confidence. He couldn't win matches. He was also injured, but the injury takes away from your confidence. And I think Medvedev has just been like that for a year or so now. I think, so to answer my own question, I do not think he's on the way out. I do not think he's done. His game style still is potent, and I still think he can beat any player. He's just lacking that confidence. In tennis, you can look back on stuff, but I don't think you can look back that far. there's that old saying in sport, you're only good as your last at bat. And I feel like that kind of is true. Like you're only good as you feel like in your last few tournaments. And, for Medvedev, he just doesn't have this confidence in these tight matches anymore. Yeah. And, you're going to play guys like Korda in the top 30, super good, can beat anyone. Like he said, it's going to be tough. So Daniil Medvedev, one of my favorites on tour. He's in a tough spot. He's dropping out of the top 10, but you know what that means? You know what that means? That means he's going to have the chance to rise again through the rankings and play with not as much expectation, which makes all tennis players in the world play better. So it's not over for Medvedev at all. He's still, I think, in a challenge for majors, and I would almost expect him to play or to win more majors for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. Korda, though, very impressive. Very impressed with young Sebastian Korda there. Friend of the show, Felix Auger-Aliassime, got a more dominant win yesterday than in times before, or you got a more dominant win than against his previous opponent. He played with more of a bad boy mentality, I thought. I almost saw one of these coming out. He's kind of mad, like he's getting mad at his box. Yeah, and, I like that. I like that with Felix when he shows more emotion on court. At least then he's going to be aggressive and on the front foot rather than being frozen Felix, which I can see sometimes. Like at the beginning of the match in round 2, he stayed on the back foot. So that was a good win for Felix over who did he play? Let me look at the how am I forgetting who he played? He was on John Kane, wasn't he? Okay, I can't see it anywhere. Is that? Anyways, where is John Kane Arena? Oh, Sarandolo. That was a good match. Sarandolo's got a huge forehand and four-setter. I like that match, though. That was a good win, and that's a pretty quality opponent that Felix got tested on. So, yeah, that's a great sign for Felix. Shapovalov lost. So we're going to get into some more results, and I'll pull them up here on the screen here in a second. Shapovalov lost, and Tiafoe lost, and Cam Norrie lost. So we're getting more players that are losing now for sure. And like the top, we'll look at the draw here in a sec, but like the top quarter, I think, is wide open, and the bottom quarter. And then we got Tsitsipas on the top in the second quarter, who's kind of the only real, like, he's my second pick for the tournament. But Felix is also in that corner. So like the two best players left in the top half are in the same quarter. And then we got Djokovic, the bottom half. So really a lot of these top seeds have fallen out, and it's a much more wide open major than we've seen, I think, in a long, long time, if we're thinking about it. But yeah, Shapovalov lost today. He said that the nerves played a big part in the match today. Tough to see him go down like that when he came back from 2 sets to 1 down, or 2 sets to love down. And then in the 5th set, just didn't, had a lot more errors. He said he got nervous. And that's tennis, though. It happens. TFO's out, no more of his insane outfit this tournament. But yeah, let's just run through the other results here. Tsitsipas beats Greek Sport in like I said, close match, and he played in a way that he looks not like he's not taking advantage or taking for granted these victories or anything like that. Like he really is caring about each match. Obviously, he's like really focused on each match, and he, based on the confidence where it came out of last season, that makes sense because I don't think his confidence was that high. Coco Gauff threw fairly easily over Pera. Krejcikova through Azarenka, beats Madison Keys. That's an upset. 24 seed beats out number 10, Madison Keys. That's another U.S. person goes out. And not another. The U.S. are doing insanely well. Jannik Sinner survives. So this was crazy. So 6-4, 6-4. He's getting chopped by Fucsovics. End of the second set, Fucsovics hits this insane single-handed backhand cross-court pass, which I said on Twitter, if your opponent is doing this, it's not your day. It's just not going your way. And then Sinner did make it go his way. He only lost 3 games in the final 3 sets: a bagel, a 6-2, and a breadstick at 6-2 and a bagel. So that's very impressive from Sinner to turn this around. I think he's playing Sinner next. So honestly, the 3 best players in the top half of the draw are in the same quarter, which is a damn shame if you ask me. Pegula looking very scary, to be honest. 3 seed, 6-0, 6-2 over Kostiuk. Swiatek looking even scarier with a bagel and a breadstick over Buxa, who took out our girl Andreescu. Maria Sakkari bites the dust. The Netflix let's just put this up here for a second. The Netflix curse is 100% real. Zachary is now out as well. The only one left from the Netflix special is Felix Auger-Aliassime, the chosen one, as they say. And I agree. But he's the only one. And we just put a funny meme about that on our Instagram. So that's insane. Zachary out. Although I was watching her episode last night, and I just cannot get her vibe. It's very weird. Her coach their relationship seems weird. I don't know. It all seems weird. Yeah, just an interesting thing. Auger-Aliassime beats Sarandolo. TFO out to Hachanov. Technically an upset, but both obviously ranked very similarly. Both great. Hachanov takes the better of Tiafoe. So another American out. And I guess there are more Americans going out now because as Rybakina takes out Collins, that's another upset. Alina Rybakina, Wimbledon champ, most disrespected player on either tour at the moment. I hope she wins the tournament. That'd be hilarious, and that'd be awesome for her. Cam Norrie goes out as well to Yuri Lehechka, which helps out Felix. So Lehechka will play Felix in the next round. This is a topsy-turvy match, and yeah, Lehechka, I think everyone knows he's super dangerous. I've known he's amazing for a long time. He beat Shapovalov in, I think, Rotterdam last year, and he's been kind of cruising at that certain level at whatever ranking he's at. What is his ranking? 71. Yeah, I've always thought he's cruising now at this lower ranking than I thought he should be at. Anyways, beats Cam Norrie, shows that he is a big time player, and now he's he's into round 4. Obviously, his ranking is gonna take a serious bump from that. So yeah, those are all of the results from today or yesterday that I think are super interesting. Let's go to the men's draw for a second here. Okay, so this is what I mean. We're looking at the 4th round. Nishioka versus Hachanov, Hurkacz versus Korda. That's the top quarter there. That is pretty wide open. I think Hurkacz has a great opportunity to make a semifinal. But Korda could beat him for sure with the way he was playing against Medvedev. So that's going to be interesting. But then we got this super talent dense next quarter, Tsitsipas versus Sinner. That could go either way. I'm obviously going to favor Tsitsipas a little. They did play last year and maybe the same round, 4th round, and Tsitsipas beat him. And Tsitsipas played some of the best tennis I ever seen. It was crazy. So we'll see what this rematch has in store. That's going to be a great match, though. And then the winner will play the winner of FAA and Lehechka, which I expect to be FAA. Hope to be FAA as a biased Canadian. So we'll see. That's the 4th round matches there. And then we still got the 3rd round going on today. Rublev versus Evans, Humbert versus Rune, Bonze versus Demonauer, Dimitrov versus Djokovic. I'm really going to be paying attention to see what is going on with Djokovic's hamstring. How's it going to be feeling? How's it going to be looking? Keeping the ear tuned to a friend of the show, Sasha Osmo. So we'll see. And then we got the Americans stuck at the bottom. Popyrin versus Ben Shelton. JJ Wolf versus Michael Moe. Andy Murray versus Bautista Agut. And then one of the most interesting matches of the day for me that stuck way on an outside court, Tommy Paul versus Jensen Brooksby. That's going to be a clean-hitting American masterclass in tennis. I know for sure. Let's take a look at the women's draw as well. 4th round, amazing matchup. Iga Swiatek versus Rybakina next. That is going to be a big one, I think, for who's going to be around at the end of the tournament. Ostapenko versus Goff. All the more seeds in the women's almost than the men's. Pegula versus Krejcikova. Azarenka versus Zhu. And then, yeah, we got a lot of matches today. I think the bottom half is a little bit more wide open. We got Sabalenka, Garcia. Those are the 2 women I've been looking at on the bottom. And then a lot of others. Donna Vekic making a nice run here. Pretty interesting to see. So, yeah, that is what's going on. Let's take a look at the schedule. The match schedule for day 6, which is where we are at. As I said, Andy Murray versus Bautista Agut, Dimitrov versus Djokovic. To be honest, it's like an okay day. It's an okay day of tennis at the Australian Open. I think when the top half draws or plays, it's more entertaining, more better matches, but there's always good tennis. So to recap, what did we talk about? Daniil Medvedev is not going anywhere. He's going to stick around. He's fine. He's just dropped down in the rankings because he wasn't allowed to play Wimbledon. He was, I mean, that wouldn't have mattered anyways. There was no points, but he got his confidence shot. The question is, I guess people have, is he a different player? Is he ruined mentally since Nadal came back at this tournament last year and beat him in the final from 2 sets to love down? Yeah, he is a different player since then. But also outside of his mental damage that he took from that, other things have happened. He had a big groin injury, which took him up for a while, made him lose the number 1 ranking, basically. Then he wasn't allowed to play. Then there's the whole war in Russia. I think that takes a toll on people, like we said. Then he wasn't allowed to play Wimbledon. Then he had a kid. So there's a bunch of different things. I think it was just a weird year for him, and it's kind of spilled over a little bit now. And you lose to a good player. That's what happens when you don't have the confidence, like he said. So I don't think he's done. He's not on the decline, I don't even think. I think he'll have another resurgence through the rankings. He likes playing as the underdog. We all know that. He's actually more dangerous as the underdog. So he's going to be that for the next little while in a lot of these bigger matches, which will be interesting to see. A lot of players lose. Shapo, TFO, Nori. A lot of top guys are out. So the tournament is open. It is truly the Australian Open. To me, the big question at the end is, who can really stop Djokovic? Let's be honest here. To me, Djokovic is the number 1 favorite going in, and then Tsitsipas was the number 1 favorite. If they play in the final, like I said before, Djokovic basically has Tsitsipas at pigeon status, where you just beat him whenever he wants. So I don't know if Tsitsipas is actually going to be able to get there, but if he does, we'll see. I still believe deeply in Stefanos Tsitsipas' ability to come up with magic and to play a match start to finish and battle and win. Against Djokovic in the final of an Australian Open, it seems very unlikely. It was shocking to me that he lost the French Open from 2 sets to love up. I didn't think Djokovic was going to win 3 sets in a row against him, and it did. And it mentally damaged him like Nadal, or like Medvedev got damaged by Nadal. But we'll see. So really, Djokovic's main competitor, I'm trying to decide who it is. Is it someone in the bottom half, like Runa, taking him out in the quarterfinals? Or is it Tsitsipas in the top and potentially the final, or Felix in the final? Could be interesting. Or is it his hamstring? Let's be honest. The hamstring might be the biggest hurdle for Djokovic. We'll see. Tonight's going to be really interesting to see where it's at and how it's gotten better or worse. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, that's the slice on day 5 roundup, day 6 preview. Let me know your thoughts down below, of course. And as always, check us out on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, and we will continue the conversation there. And I will leave you with the outro. See you next time on The Slice.